The Millers' annual family dinner was a ritual, hosted every Thanksgiving at Margaret Miller's sprawling suburban home in Connecticut. Margaret, the matriarch, believed tradition kept families intact. The house smelled of roasted turkey, buttered rolls, and old memories. At the head of the table sat Margaret herself, silver hair neatly pinned, eyes sharp behind thin glasses. To her right was her eldest son, Daniel Miller, Clara's husband, successful corporate consultant, charming smile, practiced confidence. Next to Daniel sat his younger brother, Ryan, casually dressed but constantly observing, as if life were a game of strategy. Across from them was Eleanor Brooks, the family lawyer and Margaret's longtime friend, invited, just for dinner, though her leather briefcase rested by her chair like an unspoken guest. At the far end sat 8-year-old Lily, Clara and Daniel's daughter, swinging her legs under the table, unaware that her world was about to shift. Clara had prepared this dinner alongside Margaret all day, just like every year. She smiled, nodded, served, and stayed invisible. That's what she had learned to do since marrying into the Miller family. Daniel was not cruel in obvious ways. He never yelled in public, never hit, never left bruises. Instead, he controlled with silence, with decisions made without her, with jokes that reduced her opinions to childish notions. "Clara's sensitive," he'd say, laughing. "She doesn't understand how the real world works." And the family laughed with him. But tonight was different. Clara had spent the past 6 months waking up earlier than everyone else, sitting in her car after dropping Lily at school, breathing through panic attacks, asking herself a single question: is this the life my daughter will learn to accept? Daniel cleared his throat. "Honey," he said lightly, reaching for his wine, "maybe we can talk about this later." "No," Clara replied. The firmness surprised even her. "Later is how I lost 12 years. Margaret frowned. "Clara, dear, family dinners are not the place for drama." "This isn't drama," Clara said, turning toward her mother-in-law. "This is truth." Ryan leaned back, arms crossed, curiosity flickering in his eyes. Eleanor, the lawyer, straightened in her chair. Clara took a breath. 12 years ago, I gave up my job as a high school teacher because Daniel said it made more sense financially. He promised it was temporary. That I could return any time. But every time I tried, there was a reason I couldn't. Lily was too young. The schedule wasn't right. The money wasn't necessary. Eventually, my confidence disappeared. Daniel laughed softly. "You agreed to that, Clara." "I agreed because I trusted you," she replied. "Trust isn't consent to be erased." The room grew tense. Lily stopped swinging her legs, sensing the shift. "Mom," she whispered. Clara looked at her daughter and smiled gently. "It's okay, sweetheart." She continued. "For years, I was told I was emotional, dramatic, forgetful. That my memory couldn't be trusted. When money went missing from our joint account, I was told I must have spent it. When papers went unsigned, I was told I lost them." Margaret stiffened. Daniel would never. "Please," Clara said, not raising her voice. "Let me finish." Eleanor Brooks finally spoke. "Clara, are you making a legal accusation?" "Yes," Clara answered, meeting her eyes. "And I'm prepared to back it up." Daniel's smile vanished. Clara reached into her purse and placed a thin folder on the table. 6 months ago, I started therapy. That therapist told me something that changed my life: gaslighting is abuse. I began documenting everything. Bank statements. Emails. Text messages. Recorded conversations, legal in our state. Ryan leaned forward now. Daniel transferred money from our joint savings into a private account under his name. He forged my signature on 2 financial documents. And he's been preparing for divorce for over a year, without telling me. Margaret's face drained of color. "That's absurd." Eleanor opened the folder, scanning quickly. Her expression hardened. "Daniel," she said slowly, "these are serious claims." Daniel stood abruptly. "This is insane. She's unstable. You all know how emotional she gets." That was when Lily stood up on her chair. "Stop talking about my mom like that," the child said, her small voice shaking but loud enough to silence the room. "She cries because you don't listen." "I listen." Something broke then, not loudly, but completely. Clara felt tears burn her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. "I stayed silent for Lily," she said. "I thought keeping peace was protecting her. I was wrong." She turned to Eleanor. "I'm filing for divorce. Full financial disclosure. And custody." Daniel's mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, he had no words. Margaret sank back into her chair, suddenly looking older. "Why didn't you come to me?" she asked quietly. "Because every time I did," Clara replied, "you defended him." Silence filled the room, heavy and final. Eleanor closed the folder. "I will not represent you, Daniel," she said firmly. "Not after this." Ryan exhaled slowly. "I always knew something was off," he admitted. "I just didn't want to see it." Daniel grabbed his coat and stormed out, the front door slamming behind him. The sound echoed through the house like an ending. Clara felt her knees weaken, but she stayed standing. Lily ran to her, wrapping her arms around her waist. Margaret approached slowly, her voice unsteady. "I don't know how to fix this," she said. "You can start by listening," Clara answered. Weeks later, Clara and Lily moved into a small apartment near the school. It wasn't grand. The walls were bare. But it was peaceful. Clara returned to teaching, standing in front of a classroom again, her voice strong. Lily slept through the night for the first time in years. The legal process was painful, but truth has a way of standing firm. Clara won joint custody with primary residence, financial restitution, and something far more valuable, her sense of self. On the first night in their new home, Lily asked, "Mom, were you scared at the dinner?" Clara smiled. "Yes." "Then how did you do it?" "Because being silent was scarier." If you're watching this and living quietly in pain, know this: your voice matters. Speaking your truth may shake the room, but it can also save your future.